Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Kennel mini-episode, today we're going to be talking about UFO Mystification. I have a couple of articles dealing with UFOs and mysticism, folks, and they're very enlightening on the more woo-woo side of the UFO question. Either way, let's get into the first article. Out of this world, UFO hunters plan bizarre event to summon alien spaceships to Scotland. So let's read on and find out. They will try to make peaceful contact with extraterrestrials by using a specialist technique developed by a famed U.S. UFOologist, and the approach involves by meditating in a field and playing sci-fi sound effects. Malcolm Robertson of Strange Paranormal Investigations has high hopes the plan could work after participants saw flashing lights during a trial run. He said, "We are trying to bring any off-world craft into our airspace." So they're going to sit in a field and meditate. That explains a bit of the technique that these UFOologists are going to try to basically summon these aliens. So let's read on. There is a desire to bring forward these objects, which people claim to be UFOs or UAPs. The meditation will send out a desire for open contact. In the background, we play these special sound effects, which help to enhance the mood, but also the meditative process. It all sounds very airy-fairy, I get that, but this has been tried successfully all over the world. The CE5 method, known as the Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind Protocol, was developed by Stephen Greer, founder of the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence. The alien enthusiasts will attempt to communicate using telepathy and guided meditations, which followers believe will help guide UFOs to the spot at Dirkmont Woods near Livingston later this month. The site is famous for a 1979 incident during which forestry worker Bob Tyler reportedly had an encounter with a spacecraft. In fact, folks, that is very interesting. So they are going to places where people have seen this phenomena before, folks, so maybe this will link them to these alien beings. Perhaps, but let's read on. He reportedly saw mysterious dome-shaped objects land in a clearing. According to the teetotal churchgoer, metal spikes then dropped down and attached themselves to his trousers. He later woke in a disheveled state before going to cops. Baffled investigators were unable to establish what caused unusual marks seen on the ground, but detectives bagged up Bob's torn trousers as they probed further. He had been assaulted. The respected war hero continued to maintain he had been attacked by a spaceship thing until his death, aged 88, in 2007. Mr. Robertson hopes investigators will be able to attract aliens back to the site with their meditation later this month. A trial run has already taken place on the outskirts of Bonnie Bridge near Falkirk, which is considered one of the world's UFO capitals. Mr. Robertson said some people did see some bright flashes in the sky. They came from various parts of the sky. We don't know what that was. It could have been anything. But the only reason I'm not singing and dancing about it is there may have been a natural explanation. We previously told how investigators have demanded a public inquiry in Scotland into the existence of UFOs. The alien enthusiasts believe any evidence of sightings should be made public and heard in front of a parliamentary committee. Bonnie Bridge within Falkirk Triangle is said to have up to 300 UFO sightings each year. Police Scotland has also documented hundreds of reports of unidentified flying objects, aliens, or extraterrestrial activity across the country. Very interesting, folks, so far. So, do you think that these people really have a chance of summoning alien beings by basically meditating out in a field where basically a previous UFO incident took place? Perhaps. Here are a series of photos dealing with this article and the UFO fans trying to basically use this special technique. In this photo, we see paranormal investigator Malcolm Robertson is trying the method for the first time to summon these aliens. And then we see a picture of the area where, in the Dirkmont Woods, where Bob Tyler encountered this alien spacecraft. And here is a picture of said spacecraft that was made by an artist. As you can see, if this is all true, we might be able to contact aliens. But that is if you believe that such woo-woo things like rituals and meditation could yield results like basically being able to contact alien beings. But that's if you believe it, folks. Maybe it will. But then again, there's also a lot of people who don't believe it as well. But folks, let's move on to the next article detailing with mystical, UFO, phenomena with this article here. In brief, the New York Times lets Diana Polsaka spread UFO mystification. Let's get into the article now. New York Times columnist Ross Douthat interviewed American cosmic author Diana Polsaka for one of the paper's podcasts, and the result was about what you would expect. The two commiserated about the lack of UFO disclosure, shared similar blind spots about flying saucer research, and revealed in the alleged overlap between alien encounters and medieval religious experiences. The conversation was rather infuriating since Darthright seemed constitutionally unable to see the faulty assumptions UFO researchers like Pasalka make, namely trusting sources she admits have withheld information, and Pasalka repeatedly comes so very close to understanding that UFO methodology is a modern derivative of one particular strand of religious mysticism, but is repeatedly stymied by her acceptance without evidence that if a man in uniform cannot understand what he sees, it must therefore be beyond all human knowledge. A religious scholar like Pasaka ought to know that if one reads the voluminous literature, even limiting oneself to the Christian and Christian-adjacent traditions on the many oddball and bizarre claims of believers, there is no consistent narrative, no consistent phenomena, and UFO researchers cherry-pick a small section from phantasmagoria of claims to align with sci-fi ideas from the 1940s. See, for instance, Theodore Bar Konai's Index of Heresies from 792 CE. Pasaka offers very little that is new, and she hedges every implication with a qualifier except her contempt for skepticism, so there's no point in going through her rather fraudulent efforts to talk around making any definitive statement while simultaneously chatting those who would rightly conclude that the lack of sufficient evidence to warrant a definitive conclusion also means that there is no reason to act on imaginary proofs. Consider this nonsensical passage in which UFOs become everything and nothing simultaneously, a revelation with no referent. Darthright. So first, where does the answer lie if it doesn't lie with the government? Pasalka. I don't know, but I'm not going to say that the answer is that there's nothing, or that there's specifically this thing, okay? So I think it's a lot more complicated. Darthright. Right, you're saying that there's a phenomena that appears to have both spiritual and science fiction elements that is accessible in some way, not just to a crazy person in a field late at night, but to members of the most high-tech military the world has ever seen, and it seems to overlap with people's perspectives about visitors from other planets, trickster gods, angels, demons. That's really interesting. Darthright tries to pin Pasalka down, but she slips away each time. Should the government disclose the truth? She says she has no position on that. What is the UFO phenomenon really? Well, I'm not going to name it, she says, though eventually in exhaustion she admits that she thinks it's basically angels and demons, but happily setting aside any claims to truth. Pasalka said that the real value of studying UFOs is that it helps people to reject enlightenment, rationalism, and materialism, so that they can see the world and the cosmos is really a beautiful place with a lot of mysteries, he said. Evil demons are allegedly kidnapping, raping us in the night, and we are supposed to view it as a wonderful and romantic mystery, and the New York Times is happy to treat this as the new spirituality for the pseudo-intellectual elite, driving our country and our world toward a new dark age. Now, the writer of this article, Jason here, he seems to basically be on the fence about this sort of thing, folks. He's saying that Pasalka's view that there's a religious and maybe even a scientific explanation for these things, while she believes it might be angels and demons really, that Miss Pasalka here believes privately, but she doesn't basically make any real, lines in the sand. She's not saying that it's actually demons or aliens or anything like about that, folks, because she herself doesn't actually know the answer to it. And Jason here is being critical of Pasalka here because she isn't making any lines in the sand. She's not basically sticking behind anything, saying it's aliens or demons or anything in between, or maybe even, out of it, folks. She's just basically, sitting on the fence and basically taking it as it comes and basically trying to maybe, evaluate that information as best as possible. And while that isn't the worst idea, folks, because Pasalka here doesn't basically stand behind any of the answers that other people have put forward over the last few decades as to the answer to what is actually going on. She's just saying that the real good thing that's going on is that people are asking questions and looking for the truth. And while Jason here is critical of Pasalka for basically being a so-so on everything and not standing up for any one thing, believing that's the truth, even though she has her own private feelings on this subject, folks, she's just saying that people should keep looking for the truth. And while aggravating, it's not the worst stance to have. Anyway, folks, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions or the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure to hit the part of the bell that will give you all future notifications. And please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.